Things time is dara do so 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 so dara do 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 so okay but you do da to chiyam mar de la kala ko ba shu
and Tarasho Gom Jaya to Dayamare Gom Jages.
This morning there wasn't enough time to meditate, so shall we meditate?
Nyamdo Gom Jaya Talendi Jojo and Semgi, that's Semote and Semgi Nilugom, that Naganires.
Now, with regard to meditations, now today we meditating on the mind, meditating on what is called the mode of existence of the mind, or the way in which the mind exists, this mode of existence. Well, there are two types. We can distinguish between two types.
가시라는 못 세부터냐 유기래 나라 소지리는 못 가고 싶으지래 딘데진데 샘디 디레스는 무슨에 매등이 소지 다 딘데qab을야 간다 장자로베 도지 땅굴 아망문진 나려야 찍찍도와 총개 그래서 촌나 민예데 총개 라인스 세나 민예야디 총개 코라르다스 어떤나시 땅아 샘 생에데 안 삼당이 스티다가나 셈 코라 다 삼당이 이사 코라 다가나 안 셈데레데도 와스 처음에인데 총개라이스 총개라 에네 같이 기드레데어다스 디 소르지 깨제시인데 다 람사 지셔바지 독스테바다가 시아바다가나 레섬지 어떤데지기 다 지겨 통험해봤는 내용 내내 처말은 드냐 에너지 상해 강가 용해 다 루당알 타대바 임게 루보텔 내장chen 추요냐 다티 세신 릭점디 다 데니지레샤 삼베 아니 삼나치다 다 가장 드린 디 sabject 내나 여보여래 샘기 시작답대 마스 가자 샘기 시작제 마스 샘기 시작제 마스 샘기 시작답대 마스 아니 람도 캐추스 sabject 숨래 어디인도 샘기 시작제 마스 샘생인데 가르래도 승에는 제제 어다티래 내내야 만주 고민야데 샘기 시작제 마스네 아니 샘생인데 간데지도 사지
Now, what is the mind? If we wonder what is the mind, well, before we understand the lack of inherent existence of the mind, we need to analyze on a conventional level, well, what is the mind? And some of you may be able to identify what the mind refers to, but Rinpoche says he himself is not able. He finds it difficult. He finds it difficult to identify the mind correctly. So it's not easy to actually identify, to say on a conventional level what the mind actually refers to. So, for instance, Changyoro Doje, in his Recognizing the Mother, one of his texts, the Changyoro Doje. So, in that text, he says, that which is searching for the designated object, that which is searching for the designated object that cannot be found. That cannot be found. That is the one that is searching. So the one that is searching is that which eventually comes to understand that it cannot be found. This is similar here. So when we analyze what is the mind, well, that which cannot identify the mind is the mind itself. So it's similar to what Changyoro Doje says. That which cannot be identified, cannot identify itself, is actually the mind. It's just that. It is that continuum of being clear and aware. So it has existed since beginningless time, and it continues on in the future. It continues on into a future life and so forth. It is this experiencing entity. It's the entity of experience, of being aware, of being clear. It is that which is not identical with the body, which is separate from the physical entity, which is the body. So it's mere clarity, mere awareness. And so what we're going to go through here, well, now first, it's, if you look at the outlines that we're going to go through, so the different of the three outlines, which is analyzing the actual foundation, then focusing or settling the mind on that foundation, and then generating the path. Here it's the first. It's analyzing the actual foundation, which is the mind, analyzing the mind. So that's also what we're going to meditate on, that first outline of analyzing what is that foundation, the mind itself. Let's meditate on that. So let's please meditate.
That is the nature of Shaumandos. The Kodu saying use Yan Zimbe Nuba Ye Danye, use 7 Nuba Ye Danye, and Rigsam. The cottage Peja Coronal Shigawa Sati, setting Yedeva, or that in Deji, and she knows Bachuna, and some Shitacheva Sajik that Peja Chagi Imbares.
Rinpoche, shit such a said the touch chair, I mean, touch the same shit a chiva.
That and the Dandable Karina Gangang, but Zintu Yanki, but Teresha Tereshasan, Chijan Zintu Yanki, use Rigbin the way you think say boy, the Rigbin the way you was say Shiruba said Namjishet in Shigi or
No.
oh, that says never you, Rig sag never you, Takolia, the and then Kolo teaching the Batiniji Maimba, Tangjung Jigitone. Yodabachilla, Shigawa Saji, then Tanya Tagi, or not in the some years. Tangaranza those Gombakalia, Suchenu Gongo, Markake Gongoma, don't change on Chiginalia, and you said to me, you read to me, or Tendechigi, the Ranshin Sanamido, or Tendechigi, Shichi, and Zingit was, or Tatelia, and she's such a saying in the Tendechil Mendos.
Now, what we meditated on basically is
Kawa degdu tendoti, kawa degdu, kane chungare, and kawa timguar silavin and zuzu meeting suristuma, kanda log suristuma, electric power search.
No.
Got Lugutina Casali cap de search, Lugudina Casacala cap de search, what in this do to go sound the dress and zuzu meeting. That cannot the mancha lever lamdo covers. Dine chung kung meva, dine ki chang meva, dirsong ki je meva, or tinisitua.
now with regard to what we've just meditated on. Well, it is this entity which has the capacity, the ability to apprehend, to perceive an object. At the same time, it has the ability of clarity in the sense that an object can appear to it. So it's that clarity, that awareness. That is what we're trying to focus on. In the sense, it's the basis here, the mind. We're trying to establish that basis and getting a vivid sense of that is what the mind is. That is what it refers to, this aware and clear kind of entity. Then the Hebrew translator asked Rinpoche, well, what does it really mean here to analyze the basis? What does that mean? When so Rinpoche responded, it's this entity, we're trying to observe this entity, get to understand this entity that can perceive something. It's that which perceives, that has the ability, or at least it has the potential to know something. It is clear, it has this knowing, this aware, this potential to be aware and knowing. And it's difficult to really identify it because it's not a physical object. It's not something material that we can easily focus on, that we can easily observe, but rather it's just that clarity, that awareness. And that is what is the basis. That is the foundation that we're trying to focus on. That's what we're trying to identify, trying to, well, analyze in that sense, trying to identify this basis of the mind. And so it's really weird, Rinpoche says, we meditated for a few minutes, but it's so difficult to determine what is it we're trying to focus on. Where does it come from? Where does it go? What is it to really focus on. It's this sudden object. It's this spontaneous kind of naturally rising object that kind of pervades everything in the sense of all our experiences. So some people would say it's the brain, actually would identify as the brain, but the point is, so let's do question and answers now. I think that's what she said. Sorry, I've got some trouble with turning the volume up and down. But I think when she said, let's do question and answer. So,
Sibe chaje roma lu rangshin nyuma suigan langwa mes ta diwal de shedwa ta jetans shenya tohale gyume ngame samja samdeme tekun rangi trubar chebe gyu rangshin tabe semlas samden tagi milete rani dewa neshi dunga mache chi sashi thongla nyetu ki gashin tadu yangdan yangdu kolongi chende dabu jigden parun rugyude mongbe jigden go dogbe nene song kandu lungdan semne megyushin nyema dawa jugba mekyurba mishe beta neter semne ukchungshi danu kine menga tamje tene song shebe tun 중세 시에나스 랑시 뉴마 렌지 게바 외세기 셈 시 추구루 타와스 신단 뉴메 셈 신도 타베 셈 외세기 셈 어디 시 추구 타와 대인라 대니 곰덥기 무슨도 냠소 뉴메 체 독주다 마주 타베 독주기 삼den기 에네 무슨도 냠소 뇽에 채다 도주 담아주 레 데브치레 마섬 젬에 셰라 파루 친산네 시레 디인자 도주기 삼den기 지시 차신 셰저야 지시 디니 곰도기 망에베 에네 다 무슨도 텐데치 또버지 마중 파들라 시베 차제 로와 말루바 루소스 루강스 다 레 주니 기 된티기 엔 대응무슨도 맞도나 아니 뇽몬베 디바다 시제 디발레 저와지 용토고 말 빵토버지 용고 말 근데 인자 아니 콜리아 코르데지 용고 유베인자 시페 차게 로마루발루 소스 루강 대다기 랑시 뉴메 셈티 신수강 다 스바콜 코 네갑 라이언스 랑시 뉴메 셈디 신수강 랑밤 초와 메데스 질 감숨기 셈젠 탐제다 개발 날게 감중된 만남 치외세 나제 도수 외세다 제바 차베 치로스 다지다 시 추구들한 치수에 대바 인자 있는 랑바다 초와 요마레스 가바레 질 시지여 나치 장주 수이가 지마이 수이가네 송마이 랑추 용수 세바나 델 산제 주사나시 장주 승인디 랑기 에네 다 랑싱기 좀 타다바 디톨루고 좀봐 다인도 이제 장주 토용하지래 마도 지기 장주 승인 신다진 수 레비하지 요마레세 수이다 랑바다 초바 승인지 요마레스 질 감숨지 셈제 탐제다 개발날게 감중데 치베세 난제 투수 어세트 잡아 얘네 차비치로스 코라란치스 예데지레스 대다르시잖냐 타마라베 람두 타말베 람두 다기 타말 세디 외세기 람두 세지 가는 이바 치와 유메 외세들 타말 당에 딜 고고 이기래서도 타말베 람두 유와 메뉴 라 데르마세 동감바 팔칠 옹부니조라 가신 양다 양도 땀 죄강 대바침비 내내 셰바 메도스 다 레타 단데디 외세기 셈 차야 찍디 가봐 용거 알았으나 렐베캅 아동 잡베캅 렐셋 아니 합디 갸베캅 드네 니 쿠베캅 두죽갑이야 왜세 깬잠을 차야지 여대버지 띵아란지 무세야 매대버지 라버도 아니 포메 틱조르기 내거기 아니 컴 슈얼라 때네 아니 딘데기 지 외세기 지 랑치기야 셔기 여대버지 이내야 디 외세도 못네 똥바니도 내바티 엔 다다바도 시코왈 코데빈도 단데베 강사 티기 람라말레 내가블라 에네 딘데 메 텔로 콤리 메바 인자 대화침빈네더니 시아바 요마레스 시아바 메테스 옴부니조라 가시 양도 땀 죄냐 대화침빈네니 시아바 메테스 은 도알레스 kimna dei tamaya dejenene yonsu tagi yodeba tagara jesumba taros ta nyamleba chigungone shebe nejo bene dawa chimbi ngori kyube nyungme semti chu shatablia beje o nilamgi ta ni tugi sebe kablia nyungme wese chatabliche o ta sedugi kablia nyungme wese chatabliche o ta chidu kabde koranshi sha tilo ngotreche dinde inza nyungme semdi 동바 니 유도 제대 조바 마도 셴 상에 관계자 쪼바지야 메체바 이노스 뭐다 뉴메 웨세기 심디 동바니 또야 탑 뭐다 디간 베고레스 뭐 데레 단디 내가 첨부 임바레 단다 루벤 루장기 레타 남제 나라 용구동아 나와 숨보 답에네 탐제 갱이 태조메스 나와 숨보 마타칠 ene gavar ene ta jimba do chudul bena ya tamje kemba to mingyurs 어떤 직지만 지신도 말했대 레틀란 남자나 디레 다 강달 나제 토수 마림기 팀베 탐제 동바베세기 이시 디기 동바니라 냠바르 샤바 딩 냠샤 디기 규 ene 라 나제 토수를 당함해봐 딘데지 중배 니무테 아니 산제사드레스 어디니스고르 디인자 모르규베 뉴메 셈디 돈이 유두 제데 조바마도 신상상의 관계가 들어봤지 않미 제바 이노스 다 대바도지 잠시야
Rinpoche
And Rinpoche continued to read in the text. I misunderstood, so I think question and answer follows after Rinpoche's explanation. So Rinpoche read from, well, he actually reread the part that he had previously read, devoid of meditation, what is there to contemplate. So having read it already, I won't read it. But then Rinpoche continued with the Doha, treasury of songs says furthermore. So Rinpoche read from here. The Doha treasure of songs says furthermore, no tantra, no mantra, nothing to contemplate or meditate. All these serve to cause our own confusion. The naturally pure mind is not tainted by meditation. So abide in bliss and do not make yourself miserable. Eat, drink, and enjoy the act of sexual union. Always, again and again, fill the chakras. Through such dharma, you will transcend the world. Trampling on the head of the ignorant world, march on. Where the wind and might no longer move, where the sun and moon do not enter, there, O ignorant ones, find relief of your mind. The archer has taught all the instructions and moved on. So now to explain this particular quote, she said this needs to be explained. The text reads, the auto commentary reads, let me now explain the meaning of these lines a little. The primordial innate mind, the mind of clear light, is what is known as the ground Dharmakaya. So Rinpoche said this is the innate mind, this extremely subtle mind, in other words, the clear light mind. In whichever way we refer to it, it's that clear light mind that is described as the ground Dharmakaya or the basis Dharmakaya. When through the path of meditative practice, it is directly experienced, it is free from investigation, analysis, or verbal expression. So what is the point there of meditative concentration involving investigation and analysis? So here it's talking about that direct experience. Rinpoche gave this quote from the Praise to Dependent, the Praise to the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, when it says it's indescribable, it's Masam Jome, so it's inconceivable, it's inexpressible. So in the sense with ordinarily it cannot be perceived and expressed the way it exists. So this is this direct perception of emptiness. So in that case, there's no longer any investigation and so forth. Then Rinpoche continued to read, what is there to be said as well? Failing to ascertain this through meditative practice, all beings come to be deceived by the seal of samsaric existence. So if we don't realize emptiness directly, if we don't understand the mode of existence of all phenomena, we'll continue to be deceived by samsaric existence. We won't be able to eliminate the obstructions to liberation and the obstructions to Buddhahood, and therefore remain within cyclic existence. Then it goes on to say, or Rinpoche continued to read, even though they are thus deceived, no one can take away or rob their essential nature, the innate mind. Now this refers to the ground Dharmakaya, or the basic Dharmakaya, which everyone's got, and no one can rob us of that particular mind. Just a sec. I need to find. Oh, so it's saying that actually the nature of our mind is such that, well, having the potential to become enlightened, its nature, its natural natural stains in terms of inherent existence, well, not existing right from the beginning, as well as the adventitious stains, which can be eliminated. Therefore, its actual nature has always been there. Its actual nature is there, and no one can take that away from us. So it's nothing from the outside in that sense, but it's something from the inside. No one can take it away from us. And you continue to read. Even though they're thus deceived, no one can take away or rob their essential nature, the innate mind. For all beings of the three realms in general, and the womb-born beings endowed with the six constituents in particular, the appearance increase and near attainment, as well as clear light, dawn at the time of their death. So here Rinpoche also explained that, well, it's important to generate this clear light mind, because for as long as we still have the coarser types of mind, so the coarser mind such as sense perception and so forth, and also the three subtler minds that precede the arisal or the arising of the clear light mind, such as the mind of white appearance, of red increase, and of black near attainment. Well, as long as we still have those, the clear light mind can't manifest, but it's important to manifest that clear light mind. So here Rinpoche also remarked that, well, the word here in Tibetan, actually it's not as obvious as it is in the English, that it refers to the clear light mind, but yes, it should refer to the clear light mind. Anyway, although these thus come to dawn, but you continue to read, although these thus come to dawn, ordinary beings are not able to transform them into the path. Furthermore, so here Rinpoche gave the following explanation. So the clear light mind, or at least the similitude of this kind of mind, a mind that comes very close to this actual clear light mind that is discussed here, actually arises throughout our life. Some of the examples are when we yawn, when we sneeze, at the time of deep sleep, and so forth. So those times, something that comes close to the clear light mind actually manifests, becomes active. However, we're not able to utilize that particular mind. And so the text goes on to say, furthermore, even though most beings of the desire realm delight in joining the two sex organs and frequently talk about sex, they fail to understand the import of great bliss. So here again, Rinpoche says, well, due to the sexual union, it is possible to manifest the clear light mind, or at least something similar to the clear light mind. However, people are not able to do so. They may discuss the sexual union and so forth, as it says, as it's mentioned here in the text. However, they don't know how to manifest this particular bliss, the bliss that is mentioned here in the context of the clear light mind, to then utilize it to realize emptiness. But you continue to read. This is as the Doha Treasury of Songs puts it. Although they talk about it as at this and that home, none fully understands the import of great bliss. Just a sec, I just need to check. Therefore, as for the yogis, it goes on to say, other than resting their mind wherein their primordial mind in the nature of great bliss has taken emptiness as its object, they do not engage in any mental elaboration, whether good or bad. So here Rinpoche says, again, it's so important to actually put this into practice while we are awake, or at the moment of death, when the clear light mind actually manifests naturally. So to make an effort in the methods, that is extremely important if a person is interested, if a person is aspiring to become enlightened. So as long as we are not able to overcome, that is to stop or dissolve the 3 times of course our minds, the mind of white appearance, of red increase, and of black near attainment, well, at that time we will not be able to manifest the clear light mind. And then once we're able to manifest it, realize emptiness with it, and so forth, well, when that clear light mind will remain without the coarser types of mind, again becoming active, again manifesting the mind of black near attainment and the mind of red increase and so forth, well, if that state is reached, that is the state of Buddhahood. You're waiting? No. So he just asked where we got to. Rinpoche, he asked Rinpoche.
No.
Yeah, so the words whether good or bad, as far as Rinpoche has read. Rinpoche will tomorrow, then later on, continue with S for the arising and so forth.
Wesel settle you setan, you jing setting you the bachiche. You was set the tombani teacher, you jing was set the tobe teacher. Oh, tendechiche. That tendechigan nane, and dodangagi, and it subshake at the shade, you tombani tarataya mebache. Oh, do you call it chitartaman? 가자랑원이 주변 동바세 다가라마도 지 델레로스 나가려야 유 동바니 가자 야지 델렉 차지 가야요세 근데까게 매베체 다 동아니기 삽시에 깨져 셰인도 외세기 나네 유천 외세기 토네 깨져 시기 여베체 유천 외세디 다 베트 남다 산나시기 캬버여 되바 너희 돈이 도베 이시 디 로라베 왕도 치는 숨기 여바 아니 나 지르나 디나는 나 라메 깨져 셰인도 아니 로라고 대점게 맞춤 봐 로신도 타와지기 깨져 셰되기 여되바 근데 인자 산제기 살레 공바 뉴드 두르레사기 놀레 나 섭그르사기 다 푹제 직제바 있나 외세기 이시 유전 외세기 이시 디 아니 다 지케슈버지기 토네 누구 여되바 다 유전 외세기 이시 생겐디 차탑텔라 되네 자기 수르츠 슈버레데 다 된대 여임브레 퍼주 상완도바다보네 아니 룽라 네도 넘베고네 외세 차답체 사출로팀 주멜로팀 멜룽라팀스네 룽팀링부터네 마체 다 되네 양지 뎀조다 깨도르다 된데 토네 가시 뚱시더잖네 아니 야지 tuminyamne da dene tene wese chattabchiya da tene da sanga nyingme zokchen tabu 아니 가주베기 착천했다고 두조 가시 동시에 잡을 계자에 말에 룽그 틈름 계자에 말에 다 되게 아니 샘 녜라 녜 모터네 샘생에디 세시르베 성우치 때네 오 텔라 랑시메베 따와때는 배 아니 샘 틸라 아니 지 따토도 냠바르샤네 샘디 따토도 냠바르샤베 디기 또비 샘디 타루 친데 타르 뉴메 웨셀 어딘데지기 유동번이 내야지 돌아 용대지 오다 딘데지기 나리 신주 딘데지래 단 절루포 치무세지 요래 양양 절루세지 요래야 또바지 게지지 요래 오다 딘데기 토네 웨세 차트기 림바 망부 예대바다 웨세 차세야데 하장 계제임바 대기 넬레탄 남제 롱당바 때래 간다 난제 토수 마팀나 까바네 깨베 봐도 팔진 둘람나야 산제 투고 말스 오다 웨세 티기 유동반이 예베 고네 라르 미담에 니무직라 난제 토수 치 롱도 난제 토수 마요야가 딘데지기 니모테 엔다 산제 버지레스 딘데 숨고 요래 오다 남주 루 겐데메 톨레 숭수라야 에네 베이웨세기 이시 오다 딘데지기 아니 이시응원도 쳐봐이나 채들려야이나 산제 투야기 누바지 여대바지 딱 간다 채들라 산제지 고모토 투야지 누바 여대바 도승거 요래 당문에 단에게 베이 세면 베이웨세기 이시 딘데지 아니 랑귤리 제 투야기 돌 배전제야지 딘데레 도스인두 단덴들이야 되네 지 김나 대이 땀마야 니네 대체 내니 용미시 용수시바 메세알 소바 아니 사라하기 까메디기 숨고야지 외색이 이시 차야지 다 내가 첨부레스 단단 아주 차전세야 돼 셈기 등이 내루 뉴메 셈디가 마밥토야지 어디 토네 아니 다 갈소래 대동의 이시스나미도 다 차지 첨부 이시 어깨답 차고 그래서 어떻게 해서 되는지래 디다 지 롬지 슈비게 자이
So previously, Rinpoche said, well, as Lodin Lukyang also says, Lodin Lukyang also talked about this, that it's important to purify basically the mind from these three minds of mind of great, of wide appearance and so forth, and then to generate the mind of clear light, the clear light mind, and not to rise from that again. So Rinpoche just stressed that again in his previous explanation. And then just now, Rinpoche said, well, it's important to understand the following. So Rinpoche is now giving a kind of a general overview with regard to Tantra. So we talk about clear light, but clear light actually has two aspects. You have the clear light with respect to the object and clear light with regard to the subject or the object possessor. Or in this case, the mind. So clear light from the point of view of the object and clear light from the point of view of the mind. The clear light from the point of view of the object refers to emptiness. So emptiness is clear light, sometimes called objective, but usually from the point of view of the object, that is emptiness. And then from the point of view of the subject, that is the mind realizing emptiness. It's the mind that realizes, that apprehends emptiness. Now, we distinguish between Sutra and Tantra. There's this division into Sutra and Tantra. And then from the point of view of the clear light with regard to the object, there's no difference whether the Sutric system or the Tantric system. Emptiness is the same. There's no distinction. We talk about emptiness in the Sutric system or the Tantric system. It's the lack of inherent existence, and it's not sattva in the Tantric system. It's the same type of emptiness. However, when it comes to clear light with regard to the mind, then there are a lot of differences. There's great distinction between the sutric system and the tantric system. In that, the course in the sutric system, it's the course mind. The course mind is set forth. That is the mind that realizes emptiness. Whereas in the tantric system, that mind is far too coarse. It's too coarse, it's too rough. It's important to generate a subtle mind. So in the tantric system, practitioners are not satisfied with this coarse mind, but instead make an effort to actualize, to manifest, to in a controlled fashion, manifest the subtle feeling. Now, having said that, this being the method of Tantra, that is why it's explained to be this quick path, the smooth and quick path that takes a practitioner swiftly to Buddhahood. It's because of this clear light mind. Now, for instance, in the in what's called Father Tantra. So Tantra can be divided into, in the Gelugpa system, into Father Tantra and Mother Tantra. So for instance, one of the Father Tantras is the Guya Samaja practice. So based on the Guya Samaja practice, the way to manifest the clear light mind is by way of mainly focusing on the winds in the body, and by way of dissolving first the earth element, then dissolving the water element, dissolving the fire element, and dissolving the wind element. So you have that kind of this process of step by step of one after the other, the dissolution of these different elements and so forth. In this way, that's the emphasis in the Guya Samaja practice, working with the winds and etc. In that way, you manifest the clear light mind. On the other hand, Mother Tantra, the practices of Mother Tantra, such as the practice of Heruka, which is called Chakra Sambhara, or the Hevaja Tantra, here you work with what are called the four joys. The four joys, as well as the practice of Tumo, or inner heat practice. So based on the four joys and the practice of the inner heat practice, or Tumo practice, a practitioner manifests this clear light mind. So there are different methods to manifest the same, that is this clear light mind, which is the clear light from the point of view of the subject, from the point of view of the mind. And then you have practices such as Dzogchen in the Nyingma tradition and the Kagyu Mahamudra tradition, in which you take the mind is your basis. You first understand this clear and aware entity of the mind, and then focus on and meditate on its lack of inherent existence. And while being absorbed, meditatively absorbed in that emptiness, on the clear and aware entity of the mind, based on that, you then you go subtler. You generate the subtle mind, the subtle clear light mind, on the basis of focusing on the emptiness of the mind. So Rinpoche says this is how he understands the difference between these different traditions. And then there's also, of course, talk of what's called the rainbow body, etc. But from that explanation, what becomes clear is that they're basically just different methods and the different traditions. In the Tibetan Buddhist traditions, you have these different methods that have the same goal of manifesting the clear light mind by way of dissolving the three kind of subtle minds, the mind of white appearance, of red increase, and of black near attainment. So these are the minds that arise just immediately before the clear light mind. So these you want to dissolve. If you don't do that as a practitioner, you can practice the six perfections for many eons. It's not possible for you to attain the enlightened state of a Buddha. No way will you attain Buddhahood. So it's extremely important that you dissolve these three minds of white appearance and so forth. And once you've been able to dissolve them, to see to them so that they're no longer active, that they're not active, and to manifest the clear light mind. And doing this over and over again, eventually you'll reach a state where the clear light mind will always be manifest, will always be active, always be manifest. And the other three minds, mind of black clear, of black near attainment, of white, of red increase, and of white appearance, they will no longer arise. And that is the state of Buddhahood, when they no longer arise. That's what's called Buddhahood. Now, in the Gelug system, there's a lot of explanation of, for instance, the illustrative or the exemplary clear light. So it's this wisdom that's described as the illustrative clear light. And it's said, actually, if you are able to manifest and utilize that particular mind, that illustrative clear light, exemplary clear light, this particular wisdom or primordial wisdom gnosis, if you like. So, and if you have that, then you actually have the potential to attain enlightenment in this very life. So once you're able to manifest the illustrative clear light mind, if you make a great effort, you'll be able to attain enlightenment. So anyway, in this very life, in the life in which you're able to manifest this particular mind. Now, anyway, everything Saraha has said previously, so all these different explanations here, don't find the exact quotes now, but as he says in the Doha, everything he said previously, going from one practice to the next, from one life to the next, and so forth. Well, all this expresses exactly that kind of primordial wisdom. The primordial wisdom that is a union, or that is inseparable, great bliss and emptiness. It's the mode of existence, therefore, the mode of existence of the mind in the sense of, well, mind of great bliss and taking as its object emptiness. And that's really what Saraha is talking about. That is what all the different systems talk about as well. In the end, it all comes down to that. It all amounts to the same kind of practice of eventually manifesting the clear light mind, and manifesting in such a way that you have great bliss, greatly blissful mind that then focuses, not only focuses on emptiness, but realizes emptiness. Anyway, so Rinpoche says this gives you some kind of overview of how all the different traditions have just different methods to get to the same goal, to manifesting the clear light mind in such a way that eventually the clear light mind will remain. You will no longer arise from that clear light mind, so that the slightly coarser minds, the mind of the mind of black near attainment, the mind of red increase and of white appearance, that they no longer arise, such being the state of Buddhahood. And so Rinpoche says this is a general explanation of this aspect of this, well, the tantric aspect just gives you some kind of overview of the entire practices that include the tantric methods.
That tindejigi wesegi yujen wesegi she chartab cheya chigi tola ta kansa kebar kande mindawa yori seyindu jigjarwa sengen jig rimjimba sengen jig jigjarwa sengen di ta pete kansa pete pacha se denye pete ta ombu nomu sena mindu o tinde jigi pete tumo lamjanda jeba tuzo ganga kya ngoma nam song chawa o tinde jigla jigjarwa ta tene ane rimjimba sengen di sedeliya ane rimba신도 labje 두세한 로고니 다디 개발 요레스네 대답부 차쟁기 또바 깨발라네 생고맘 체드옌라 람가망가말라 장네 룽우마른 주바 창와식 이엔라 셈지야 미도버 조바타부 미과 강루직라 밍나양스 람사 외세 차제침부 무숨도 코라 랑도기야 샤리용하지 무슨데 제배 강사들라 가주 공만남 직자르베 타년제데스 카펠레스 단디안 주쟁기 루치임바레 강사 장베 초전라 직자르와네 땜버차 신 중심 제 탐지 캠베 다 runga sadren tuyang lung umar shuba changba shigi mikba chila tekyang lung umar duba shik nango she sungba da nechikos lung umar shuba changba shigi mikba chila tena lung umar shuba changba shigi ane mikba semla teba zamgi ane dende wesegi shi chayungres 어때다 kunyi ita 직자와 사도 kunyi 돈다 집어 파고도 왔어. 다 대만인베 두제 람디 차쟁 mon도 제발 라네스 아니 투모 남자는 많이 지인제 투모소 아니 투모 투모 남자도 mon도 손다 투모 많이 봐 투모소 네버 검거데 지주 메레강 mon도 나로 마르베 가소시 나루 추루 쪼 곰베 차자 첨부 mon도 교가 인데 차자 첨부 따외종 나루 추루 곰베종 살람 탑람 사모 쩨베종 구숨 순루 지부종 시다 종시 셰승시 녜 또모 아퉁셰 나주경 쳇제발라스 쳇제라 대당 통벌 주지 사변 기경 나루 추루 제제티 밀라인제 텔레메 젠중아 따로스 제 감부배경 통만 뚜모 곰베 뉴송문도 교가서 신도 망모스 보다 두스레 난다 간사르바 신도 장고니지 임바이나 아니 외세 차도 제야가 토라 뜨면내 조고면 야면은 룽을 제는 거면 야면은 조천천는 거면 차천천는 거면 보다 되게 뭔들 뭐 되게 내내 땅에 애니 신내 아니 뉴메 외세기 승기 유동관이 내야 된대지 아니 거르마신도 아니 죽달래 르마신도 라고 그래스 다트 숨고야 임버래
שאנחנו ממשיכים לקרוא בפרשנות העצמית, טקסט
Now
אומר,
Rinpoche continue to read the text. As for the rising of such a realization of Mahamudra, now Rinpoche first explained, well, when it comes to the clear light with regard to the subject or the mind, there are different people. We distinguish between different types of practitioners, but these different practitioners, well, you can actually talk of two. Here the term is used, subitist or sabbatist. Sabbatist, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's like a Buddhist term. It basically means a person of instantaneous awakening. So a person there, you have someone who attains instantaneous awakening, and there's a person who attains kind of subsequent or procedural, like going through stages, like who doesn't attain sudden awakening, but rather attains step by step, kind of needs to go through the different steps. Anyway, that is explained here, or it's mentioned here. As for the arising, Rinpoche read, as for the arising of such a realization of Mahamudra, if the practitioner is accomplished and the winds enter the central channel on the basis of having trained in the preceding stages of the path, either in this past life or earlier in this life, then even if the person were to rest his mind in a non-discursive state and meditate on any chosen object, he will directly realize the Mahamudra clear light. Such a person is giving the designation of a subitist by the early Kagyu masters. So this refers to, therefore, a person who, well, she says probably a person of greater capacity, of sharp faculty, who has great propensities, has left great propensities or imprints in his or her mental continuum. So due to previous lives practice. And when all these imprints, these propensities come to ripen, then this person will have that sudden awakening, awakening or enlightened kind of experience, will become enlightened. Anyway, so this is how the Kagyu masters refer to it. Goes on, continue to read. There is, for example, the following in the epitome. So this is again, Rinpoche mentioned, this is again by one of the Mahasiddhas, one of the great Indian accomplished masters who composed this text. It says, for those trained and with karmic residue, the subitist path should be taught. Then it goes on to say, the point being made here is the same as what the omniscient Jitsongkhapa says in his lamp to illuminate the 5 stages. So in this commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa, he mentions also, well, for someone who's trained and has experienced the entry of the winds in the central channel, it is apparent that the vital winds will gather within the central channel no matter where he focuses his mind. So again, saying at some point, being able to do what is described in Jitsongkhapa's quote, well, again, that also implies this kind of attainment of sudden awakening. Based on that quote, Rinpoche says that indicates also that kind of subitus, that kind of sudden awakening, or the person who attains such a sudden awakening. In order for trainees, other than this type of sudden awakening, to realize Mahamudra of this path, they must certainly practice tummo, inner heat, and so forth. So Rinpoche says, so the other types of practitioners, Rinpoche just kind of explained it again in his own words. They must certainly practice inner heat and all the other practices. The exalted Milarepa too first practiced primarily the 6 yogas of Naropa, according to the oral tradition of the glorious Naropa and Marpa, and then actualized Mahamudra. He writes, Mahamudra is the fortress of the view. The 6 yogas of Naropa are the fortress of meditation. The profound method path is the fortress of conduct. Spontaneous realization of the 3 bodies is the fortress of fruition. So Rinpoche just kind of said, well, these are the 4 fortresses. They're described here as the 4 fortresses. Then it goes on to say, referring to this short A of tummo, the short syllable A of tummo, Milarepa also sang its elevated praises. In line with this, the Dharma Master Sapan also says, guidance. In line with this, I think the Hebrew translator asked where we got to. So in line with this, the Dharma Master Sapan also says, so Rinpoche continued, in line with this, the Dharma Master Sapan also says guidance known as the 6 yogas of Naropa is none other than that stemming from Milarepa. Well, here the Hebrew translator asked Rinpoche, when it says here guidance known as the 6 yogas of Naropa, sorry. No. The Russian translator is still talking, so I'll continue. Guidance known as the 6 yogas of Naropa is none other than that stemming from Milarepa. So the Hebrew translator asked here, it just says Mila, does it refer to Milarepa? And the answer is yes. And then the last bit, Master Gampopa too first practiced tummo and then attained manifest experience of the innate mind. There are thus numerous examples of people who have to go step by step, who do not attain sudden awakening, but generate the clear light mind on the basis of tummo or the different winds in the body by way of Dzogchen or Mahamudra. And so based on that, they are able to manifest the clear light mind. So the Hebrew translator just suggested, well, we've got half an hour left. Oh, there you go. So the Hebrew translator, as you just said, so Rinpoche will give some time for question and answer. So we got to the place, and the text is the sentence, there are thus numerous examples. There are thus numerous examples. This is where Rinpoche got to in the text. And now questions. So the page number I have is page 896 because it's a virtual copy of the text. So in case you've got a virtual copy, it's page 896. There are thus numerous examples. Someone is still asking a question in the audience. It takes a little longer.
אוקיי. אני תוהה אם אתם שמעתם את השאלה של איקי? אוקיי, אז אני אחזור לשאלה של איקי ואז אני אתרגם אותה לטיבטית. I'm just going to repeat the question that Iki asked. I'm going to repeat it in Hebrew. Then I'm going to translate it into Tibetan so that you guys can probably patch it together. אז איקי אומר שרימפוצ'ה דיבר על תודעת אור צלול שמופיעה לא אצל מתרגלים, אצל אנשים פשוטים. יש לנו הבזקים במהלך החיים שהם הבזקים כשאנחנו מתעקשים או הולכים לישון, או רימפוצ'ה דיבר גם על סקס וכולי. או שהיא מופיעה אצל לא מתרגלים, אצל בן אדם רגיל ברגע המוות. רימפוצ'ה דיבר על זה על תודעת אור צלול, ואיקי אומר שלפי הבנתו, ויכול להיות שהוא טועה, אם זה תודעת אור צלול, אז היא תודעה שהיא לא דואלית וכו'. אבל כשמסתכלים על מה שאלת רימפוצ'ה הסביר בטקסט שלו, הוא אומר שאצל מישהו שהוא לא מתרגל, שתהליך המוות מתרחש בשל הקרמה ולא מתוך מדיטציה, והתודעה של האור הצלול של המוות מתגלה, היא מקבלת את השם אור צלול, אבל בעצם היא לא אור צלול אמיתי, מאחר ויש לה חזות דואלית, מאחר ולתודעה כזאת, שמישהו לא מתרגל, מופיעה חזות של קיום אינרנטי. אז נראה שכשרימפוצ'ה, אתה אומר שכשרימפוצ'ה קורא לה תודעת אור צלול, שיש לנו הבזקים של תודעת אור צלול, נראה שרימפוצ'ה... אוקיי, אז לא דווקא בהבזקים, אלא באור הצלול של המוות, זה נשמע כאילו שכולם יש את זה. רימפוצ'ה, 유증기 versus야 딜라 샘첸 타마비 갑라 페나가초다고 시베 갑라 레기 토기 시바이나 아니 치웨 verse 문두 주두 디 치웨 카사 딜라 verse 디 민데 데 타와이나 코란 삼나 케시 verse이나 닝메셈 데네치 인고기 멘드로스 데르치 코아 덴데다보치 랭기여서 코아 타타이나 메나 카인스나 쿠란 토바 카르레스나 딜라 팅기 림바 디 롭존체디 라테림보체 제베디 착텝치여 와라 딜라 칼라기오레스나 셈첸 타마 베카블라 아니 레기톱기 디 중와지 림네제네 팀바이나 아니 타마 디 시웨 verse di mundu gyudu dila verse sia di mintabare ine verse tseni bamares sidan kuran sana verse tseni pa mebe gi gyumtsen kare insaresena peshe dila sheba dila ninang yosares ninan tan cheva di verse ji insares digan la yam peshe di 그런 란싱기 주베 나와 된다고 지 난게레스 제잔딜라 웨세 민된다고 지 따나양 이네 웨세 체니파 인게 말레 제상 링포체 단다디 지웨 갑술라양 나초 셈체 타마발라 셈체 탐 나초다고 탐체라 냐넨바 이나 메나 라라마 슈마 근데 웨세 디 샤와이나 림포체 된데 웨세 된데 로 니메 된데 지글라 샤기요나 세마나 라티 림포체 숨바나신 딜라 웨세 라나야 웨세 체니바 마레스 된데 숨게나
다 디르바스
I'll
뉴메
repeat the question later.
난제 톱숨 링기티 레왕기 치웨 qabla 용기 여바체 디 슈구텔라 탐제 동보웨세 생인지 셔기 여바체 델야 아니 뉴메웨세 세 타니 덴덴레 다 웨세 마부 세세지 요레 단다 키랑 이기 가멘티 숭고모도 웨세 마부 세스 마이 웨세 가레레 시타메베 내가비 치림 치다와 신도 팀베 아니 웨세텔라 마이 웨세 제브레 다 선배 qabla 종다르 체샤네 뒷동이 또베 로리야 자르제 팀봉 사추 메름 팀 매나야 팀순 삼베 메바체네 아니 나제 토순 링기 팀 매나야 팀순 삼베 메베 토네 탐제 동바베세 샤 매나야 샤순 삼베 메바체네 딩일이야 라시메베 따와때는 아니 동이 공샤바티 다 무스 배주 따네 치외 qab그 웨세티 샤리용베 qabla 텔리야 동이 또베 로이 아니 냠버샤네 오티인도 아니 nar jondar cheshabad puche mus lewang trubat mache en ose mabuses o tusre ta tane tik otat diksas tilapsas o mai wase chirimte jitawashin timbateche buyu wase 동이 도베 이시 semshin trabat 동이 도베 이시 tiche 디 코란 따다 징냠도 용거여서 wase mabu sese ta tire ta 다팅 돈이 무슨 또 말해 뒤또 말해서 도서관가 덴바래 덴바래 아니 왜 세이나 아니 마 돈이 무슨 또 이시인 거고 말해 디카르샤스나 세멘타도 배워서 대야 왜세래 왜세 이디 왜세 민가타버래 왜세 지마치신래 럽그 말해 उसे चिमची मारे लग मारे तेंडावते या तुनी मुसुन तोबे इसे मारे सोजे के सगी ने दिरे ता तुनी तोबे लोचिरे ओ दूसरे ओ ता तुजुरे निना योर देंडु योर सा तुजु देंडु ना योर सा तुजुरे ओ तीन नारा संबाचेना ओ तेलिया वेसे के थाने ताबरेस वेसे रेस लबशन दिक्सर संग दूस ताती ओ 된기 외색이 이시사 되네 말에 어다 근데 지 돈이 무슨 또 직사한테 된기 외색이 이시를 삼단에 된다와데 말했으나 좋으래 다가래 다 디파트 랍투도 배드 노브레 지레 네디 근데 랍투야면 말에 삼주 들라바이
Now, this question, the question was asked by someone called Iki from the audience. So he said, well, Rinpoche talked about the clear light mind manifesting even in the continuum, well, in the continuum of anyone, that it manifests in the continuum of anyone, including an ordinary person and at the time of death, in particular, when someone dies. I mean, not a practitioner, but just an ordinary person due to their karma when they pass away, when they die, and that time the clear light mind of death manifests. So that would be, what kind of clear light mind would that be? In the sense that he says, well, for instance, Latu Rinpoche has once talked about, in one of his commentaries, he's talked about that this type of mind in an ordinary person's continuum, the clear light mind of death, it's not an actual clear, it's not clear, it shouldn't be called a clear light mind. So that's what the question therefore refers to. Is this true? Is this not a clear light mind, therefore? Is it not a clear light mind because it's a dual mind? It is it's not a non-dual mind realizing emptiness. Is that the reason? So therefore, the Iki sees some kind of contradiction here in what Rinpoche says and in what Jhado Rinpoche says and what Jhado Rinpoche said. Anyway, so Rinpoche responded in the following way to this question. Well, Rinpoche says he believes that this very subtle mind, well, first of all, it is called the clear light mind. This subtlest of minds that can manifest in the continuum of any sentient being is usually described as the clear light mind. So first, you have the three types of slightly coarser minds, the mind of white appearance, the mind of red increase, and the mind of black near attainment. And then once those have stopped, then the clear mind of the all vacuum or all empty, as it's sometimes called, innate clear light mind, that appears. And that is true for also an ordinary being. And that is usually described as the mother clear light mind. The mother clear light mind, because it's in an ordinary person's mind that it manifests and they can't utilize it. There's no way in which they can control it or meditate with it. So that's the case of just totally ordinary beings. Then there are people who, before they die, what they do is they become familiar with this mind. They habituate themselves to this clear light mind without actually manifesting it. So in their meditation, they visualize, they go through the notion of manifesting the subtle mind of white appearance, then the subtle mind of red increase, the even subtler mind of black near attainment, all the way down to the clear light mind. Actually, they don't actually manifest that mind, but it's through their visualization, they become familiar. They just familiarize themselves with this mind without actually this clear light mind, and also the other three minds, one after the other. They go subtler and subtler and subtler in their visualization, imagining that they actually generate the clear light mind. And that familiarizes their minds. They familiarize themselves with the clear light mind so that at the time of death, they're able to recognize the clear light mind. In fact, it's almost like a lucid experience. They're aware of the clear light mind arising without using it to meditate on emptiness or anything. It's just this full conscious experience that they have. So Rinpoche said that could be called no longer mother clear light, but son clear light. That's how Rinpoche just kind of quickly mentioned it. Anyway, the point is, this is already a little deeper. You've gone a little bit deeper, but you don't realize emptiness with this mind yet. Then the next step is, having done all that, having manifested, having familiarized yourself with this clear light mind at the time of death by way of visualizing that you manifested, etc. Then at the time of death, you can actually, not only are you aware of that clear light mind, but you can utilize it in such a way that you realize emptiness with it. But first, it's just a conceptual understanding. It's a conceptual realization, so-called illustrative or exemplary clear light mind, in Tibetan. So yeah, so this illustrative clear light mind. It's not an actual clear light mind. It's not what is called the meaning or actual clear light mind. It's not that, because to have this actual clear light mind, you need to manifest a mind that directly realizes emptiness. So the actual clear light mind, as that is the Tongyu says, it's in Tibetan. So actual clear light mind, or the meaning clear light mind, that must be the mind that realizes emptiness directly. That is this non-dual mind. And in that sense, yeah, there is a clear light mind that is dual, that still has the dual appearance, the appearance of inherent existence, for instance. In the case of the conceptual mind, although it realizes emptiness, but it's a conceptual mind, it has dual appearances. Oops. So anyway, Rinpoche's opinion is, and this is just, and it's not saying that he disagrees, or it's not about someone is right or wrong, it's just Rinpoche's opinion on this, despite it not being the actual clear light mind, the mind that realizes emptiness only conceptually, and even the mind that when you don't realize emptiness, but you're aware of it at the time of death, although they're all dual minds, but according to Rinpoche's opinion, you can call them clear light mind. So that's just a matter of opinion. Do you apply the term or not? So that Rinpoche, his opinion was not to apply this term, clear light mind, whereas Jhado Rinpoche feels it's okay to call it clear light mind. But it's still correct to say it's a dual mind, all the way up to, well, all the types of clear light mind, except the actual clear light mind, when the mind is used to realize emptiness directly.
אוקיי, אז השאלה הבאה, לאלה שלא שמעו, זה לגבי השילוב של תרגול שמטה עם תומו, לפי מה שהבנתי. כדי להשיג את השמטה, אנחנו מתרגלים את 9 השלבים של הצבא המנטלית, ובעקבות זה אנחנו מגשימים אחרי זה את השמטה. אז האם אפשר, עבור אלה שהגיעו לרמה הרביעית, הצבא המנטלית הרביעית, האם אפשר להשתמש בתומו ברמה הזאת, כדי להפוך את תודעת האור הצלול לגלויה, או האם חייבים להגשים את השמטה, או רמה גבוהה יותר כדי להפוך אותה לגלויה, כי נראה שיש לזה דעות פה ושם, או הסברים שונים. כן. דילה, קורן די, תומו תן שיני גומטנטו תגידו, דילה שיני סמנגו סיישטואה, שיני סמנגוגיטון שינטו ודילה, קורן ימה קרה קוסון סנה, סמנה שיבה דילה לב אינה, אני תומו גומבה אינה, אני וסת די מונדו ג'וטו גירס, כאשי שינטו נמתו מונדו ג'וטו גימרס, כאשי סמנה שיבה ללב אינה, שינמה טוב נייאן, תומו טובגי וסת מונדו ג'וטו גירס, יאמנה שזו קורן di Quran kanji di karesan di Rinpoche sambala di yon yorbes yon yamares yani yamena semne shiva la matuba ina shine matopa do semne tuba dumba gyaba gobala denda jing wese mundu ju yorbes yomares
tatinga laptu samaradas til lampeje mindudas tinga lampeje mindudas.
So the question is here, Gila has heard. Gila was in the audience. So some people say that, well, when it comes to tumo and the practice of calm abiding,
no.
Chua wasel tombanyela nyabasha nyegi shine matoke and ngag nejo chi yunguru was ti shine tobyo marade chua waseti semne shiba mato naya semne tombany butinde semne mato naya ngargu kombe wangi wasel nyabasha bati chua wasel mabuse nyegi yunguru was tati chigre ti chojen chigre.
Okay. So
the question is by Gila, who's asked, well, when we talk about the practice of inner heat as well as shamatha or calm abiding, well, she's heard that if you reach the 4th level, so you have the 9 settings of calm abiding, if you reach the 4th setting of calm abiding, then you are able to practice tumo. You're able to practice tumo or inner heat. And then you're able to manifest the clear light mind. Some would say that's not possible. You have to have calm abiding first in order to then be able to practice inner heat, the practice of inner heat or tumo, in order then to manifest the clear light mind. So in other words, you need to have calm abiding. You must have attained shamatha to be able to manifest the clear light mind. And then Geshe-Tashi Rinpoche's attendant, he gave an example of that not being necessary. Neither do you need to have shamatha, nor do you need to reach the fourth state. You don't have to have any form of meditative concentration that is part of the 9 settings, because the example he gave was the example Rinpoche also cited earlier, when he said that some who become familiar with the clear light mind throughout their lives without actually manifesting the clear light mind, but they visualize it. Continue later. So Geshe-Tashi was saying, anyway, so to continue with the previous answer. Actually, what Rinpoche said, what Geshe-Tashi says as well, the example of the person who, through familiarity, is able to lucidly experience the clear light mind at the time of death, without previously manifesting it, but being able to be fully aware of the clear light mind without yet being able to realize emptiness with it. Well, that is an example of a person who manifested the clear light mind without necessarily having shamatha or having reached any of the stages of calm abiding. It's merely through this familiarity that they were able to attain such a state. The next question is by someone asking, what about the transference of consciousness, called transference of consciousness, or power? So at the time of death, what is the connection between the clear light mind and the transference of consciousness? And Rinpoche's response was, well, when you manifest the clear light mind at the time of death, in particular, if we're able to utilize the clear light mind of death to realize emptiness directly, that is your basis to realize emptiness directly. In other words, you attain the actual clear light mind. Well, in that moment, being a primordial wisdom, a gnosis that directly realizes emptiness, well, in particular, in relation to the tantric system, therefore, you have the potential, you have actually now the ability to transfer your consciousness, so to have a controlled rebirth, in the sense that, well, first you utilize your death, you utilize it to transform into the Dharmakaya, the intermediate state to transform into the Sambhogakaya, and your rebirth to transform into the Nirmanakaya. So this is really a very good example of the best form of transference of consciousness, utilizing the clear light mind, turning it into the actual clear light mind, realizing emptiness directly. I mean, you're doing these very advanced practices, and that is definitely a case of transference of consciousness. Anyway, Rinpoche said, there's no end to these kind of questions. There are a lot of questions, of course, in relation to that.
Yes.
רגע, יש לנו מיקרופון, כך שאני לא צריך לחזור על השאלות.
רציתי לשאול, עבור מישהו נניח מתרגל תומו, מה הוא היה ממליץ לתרגל כדי לקדם זאת אומרת, במדיטציית המהמודרה, בשלב השמטה, הרנריק והרודשיקפה, ואם יש אידה מסוים שהם עובדים איתו או...
אלא, tumo nyamlen chebaina arwa pechen konzo de chi chegi yasare chen tumo nyamlen chebaina verse mundu jala de yopo jine yamane nyamlen 폴드진 받는데 차와이나 림보체 콘솔라 labja kalau kalechi nangi na pena konzo ida mixechi la tene den dauchi yongirve janji kaga janjun rikpa yamana rikpa di sebo chala gyoden de mundu chala nyamlen kareche na yagare sidam karela tene yongires.
So the question,
ane 믹스기 뜨면 담았던 배기 이 담지를 순구열에 또무도 대단되게 열에 순구열에 어다 대단되게 지기 토네 아니 콜 얍가 열에 용가 열에 얍다 용변에 댐조 있는 얍 열에 용 열에 얍을 때는 고매야 열에 용을 때는 고매야 열에 다 틴데 레스 뭐다 뜨면 냠는 티기 아니 왜세 차돌이야 믹스 펜도 첨부 여러 배 세디 다기테 베제 디나네 던송아스 지즈밀라레베기 아니 tumunlam ji mangdo yis o tendes chen sungudu was naru chuduti tawe zong yis naru chudu nane tu ma jayin do thambo thambo te tumore do wa ene gyulu wese parto ene melam ene pho thungju sin keja yungudu was o tin nangi ta changme shinjin sat shidenti ene tumu chagdu was o tumu nyamle la tene gyulu ya tene yong wese ya tene yong ane milam da parto set zoya teneyo powa tungjuya tene da tumude kechimures te karere seinde tumude kechadan de karesna tumi me bawala tene ane ji kham shue ane ji tindegi ji nubala tene ane sheba nawe kasor kundo jeju farin bashindo tim ane nawe she tim chebe she tim nyedo she tim ane wese chaya o tindegi ene nechi yungu yore te indu ene tumudu kechimbo resne mando chadan tosere tange keje beji tega digmendo land.
So the question is for someone who says, well, what about inner heat, this inner heat practice? So in combination with like the shamatha practice and so forth. So what would Rinpoche recommend in connection to what meditative deity? So the question is, well, what kind of meditative deity should we practice in order to be able to practice Tummo? In connection to what kind of meditative practice should we do this? Could Rinpoche advise on this? And so Rinpoche said, well, there are particular meditative deities, yidams, particular yidams or meditative deities or Buddha figures that are associated, or the practice of which is associated or introduces the practice of Tummo. So for instance, the Hevajra Tantra, the different aspects of the Hevajra Tantra, as well as the Heruka Tantra. So when you take, for instance, the Heruka Tantra, well, you have the mother, which is Heruka himself, and the mother, the father, which is Heruka himself, who's Heruka himself, and the mother, Vajrayarai, who's his consort. So you have the practice associated with Heruka, and you have the practices associated with his consort. So anyway, these are all practices by way you can generate the clear light, the inner heat by which you're taught how to do the inner heat practice. But the point is that this is a very important practice in the sense that it helps you to generate the illusory body. It helps you to generate the clear light mind. It helps you to utilize dreams, the pardo, intermediate state, and so forth. Utilize them into your practice. Use them for your practice. But what is it really? What is it? What do you do with it? It's related to generating this inner heat. When you generate the inner heat, the constituents, certain constituents in your body, they melt, as it's described, they melt. And if they melt due to this process, then what happens is the 80 conceptions, the coarsest types of mind, they dissolve, they become inactive, the coarsest types of mind, the 80 conceptions, plus the sense of consciousnesses. Then the mind of white appearance, that dissolves. Then the mind of red increase dissolves. The mind of black near attainment dissolves. And once they've all dissolved, one after the other, step by step, you then manifest the clear light mind. Therefore, it's a method. It's therefore a method, a very powerful method to generate the very subtle inner clear light mind. And Rinpoche said he wants to add to it. Well, really what you do is you focus on the area of the body, which is called the navel. So the navel chakra, or it is called the energy wheel. So you have the different chakras in your body. You have the one at your navel, you have the one at your heart, at your throat, and so forth. So you have these different kind of energy wheels, as they're called, energy centers. And in the case of Tumo, you focus on exactly that particular area, the area at your navel, and in that way work with the winds, start to melt the constituents and so forth. So that's a very powerful practice, Rinpoche says. So time is up. Rinpoche says it's 5 o'clock in Israel. So the session is over for today.
לאחר מכן, אם תרצו, גם יהיה עוד סשן שאלות ותשובות, אז בואו נאמר את ההקדשות ביחד. בזכות חסד זה לא השיג במהרה את מצב הגורו בודה, ולהוביל למצב הזה את כל הנדידים עד אחד. לו תודעת ההערה העילאית יקרת הערך...
Great Manjushri and also Samantabhadra realize things as they are. Therefore, in order to be able to follow their example, I dedicate these merits in the best way. For the dedication praised the Supreme by the victorious ones of the 3 times, I completely dedicate all these fruits of virtues so that I might engage in the noble deeds of a Bodhisattva. May the precious Bodhi might not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no incline but increase forevermore. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful Shinrezig, dancing Getsu. Please remain until samsara ends.
לא יזכו כל הנודדים באושר וברווחה, יתממשו כל מטרותיהם הזמניות והמוחלטות. תודה רבה.